Welcome to Fresh Off the Boat. This is our podcast series, and this is my 34th recording in the last 5 days with students I've known over the last 20 years. And it's interesting that today's guest is a twin of a person I'd interviewed 2 days back. So I'm presenting Shlok Sopti. He was the student I've known when he was in Sriram School pursuing his IB diploma, and then chose to go to Rice University in Houston, Texas. It was a choice which I was very clear. This was a perfect school for you. I'd visited the campus, just loved the vibe, loved the kids, loved the faculty and admin. So tell us more about Rice and what did you, since you've now graduated in 2019, having done a mechanical engineering major, what do you reflect about the early days at Rice, and then how did that set the pace for everything that you did there?
All right, thank you so much, Arjun. I think Rice has been amazing, and I remember coming to you and discussing my options with you. And to me, at that point, I was definitely not clear about Rice, and for some reason, you were very confident about Rice. And now, looking back, I think it makes complete sense about why you were so confident about Rice being the best option for me. I think Rice in general, the whole environment at Rice, when you come in, uh, you're just somehow sucked into their O-week program, which is unlike any other, because as soon as you drive in, you have people shouting at you. You have everyone knows everything about you. They know everything about your life, everything you've done. They've read your roommate essays. They've read basically everything about you. And so you get in and you're suddenly just surrounded by like so many people. And so Rice, we have the system of residential colleges, which is like I think you can compare it to like Harry Potter or something. And so that is, you get assigned to residential college when you get admitted, and then when you in O-week, you basically get along, and you meet all your new peers from your residential college, and that's actually the one of the first few friends that you form at Rice. So I think that whole O-week and that introduction is sets the tone for that, for freshman year, right? Because it's all like fun and partying, and also academic orientation. So they basically guide you through classes. They teach you what classes to take, and they basically help schedule your 4-year plans. And this to me was very cool, because a lot of my other friends from other universities, they were expected to decide their own schedules even before they landed on campus. To me, that's unimaginable. I would have no idea where to look. I would have no idea where to go. At Rice, they basically almost handhold you for the initial few days, and they basically schedule meetings for you with professors. So you're very like, at least initially, you're very like well taken care of, right? And eventually you start exploring more. You start, as you understand the campus more, as you understand uh, yourself more, I feel like you gradually start to explore beyond whatever you're told. So
Sounds
that's pretty cool.
sounds like such a welcoming place. What
Mhm.
else do you think makes the Rice experience unique? Having looking back, like now you're currently pursuing a PhD in
Mhm.
computer science, and of course, not
Yeah.
many people know that Texas is a state which has so many companies, the FANG companies, and other tech companies who moved their offices and have almost like a second headquarter
Mhm. Mhm.
in Texas. So we'll get to know more about that and your PhD program. But tell us a little bit more about your journey academically and otherwise too, and what else
Well,
makes Rice
so I came in. I came in. I had no idea what I wanted to study. I started off as a math major. That's how I started off. And I remember freshman year, I took basically a lot of math classes, and that's where I saw myself going. And then I don't know, I feel like there was so many things to explore, so many more classes, and like there were so many opportunities that I started off playing and considering mechanical engineering, which I think was a okay decision looking back. It could have, I mean, it's helped me, it's not helped me, it's a mix of both. But I feel like because the way the coursework is structured, you get a lot of freedom to pick and choose, and you have, at least somewhat, you have some sort of leeway. And it feels to me like Rice system is working with you, not against you, and was a big deal to me, right? I felt like some schools, at least talking to a lot of my peers who went to bigger schools and some state schools, it felt like at times the system might be poised against you. But I felt like Rice, it was working with you, it was there to support you. It was, you always had help. Like if you didn't show up to class for like a week, you would be people would notice, you would be found, you would be like, you would people would notice, and you would have people at your door, which I think was incredible. And I think it's this whole like, because it's a small school, I think it's a perfect size. It's like the undergrad community is like 4,000 students, and I think that's the sweet spot, just because it's big enough that you sort of every name's heard of. Like, it's small enough that every name's heard of, but it's big enough that you cannot possibly know everyone. So you're still meeting people by the end of your um undergrad career, but it's like it still feels sort of closely knit.
That's good. So what you're trying to say is that even in making your academic choices, moving from math to mechanical
Mhm.
engineering, it wasn't like moving colleges within a large university and figuring out the gen requirements for each
Not at all.
college.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
all
Nothing
right.
is it. At least, yeah, at Rice, it doesn't seem like there is a clear distinction between majors. There really doesn't exist a clear distinction between majors. Like, yeah. So that's the best part. It's very
Right,
easy to.
and now it's amazing to see that from mechanical engineering.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
it's also
pretty.
good to see that how you've now switched from mech
Yeah,
engineering to CS.
that
So
was
you
a
must have
bold
done enough
move.
CS in the program,
I
right?
did not as
And tell
much
us
as I
more.
would
How
hope
does
to,
the
but yeah.
future pan out for you? Like, how does
How's
it
what? I'm
pan
sorry.
out for you? Like, see, as in, what is the PhD program going to be like? You've already
Mhm.
started it, and
Yeah, yeah.
what were you thinking when making that switch?
So as a freshman, I could have never imagined. I'm sure you also couldn't have seen me pursuing a PhD. That was completely out of question. I couldn't even. If you told me I was doing a PhD, I would have laughed at you. And this was never. Honestly speaking, this was never something I could imagine myself doing. But I feel like, looking back, I feel like a lot of the decisions I made have definitely influences. A lot of my interactions with Rice have shaped me, have somehow convinced me that this is like, I've found myself been excited about learning, about exploring, and all this. And I have to, like, the Rice has definitely changed over the 4 years. I've changed my opinion about academia. I've changed my opinion about learning. And I came in as a mechanical. I studied mechanical engineering at my undergrad, and I did explore sort of. I touched upon computer science, but not as much. But I met my advisor as an undergrad, and and she was just incredible. She was nice enough to walk me through the ropes. She was nice enough to introduce me to computer science, and she was the one who took the gamble in me to, as a mechanical engineering student, being admitted to a CS PhD program. So that's been pretty incredible, and that's something I'm really grateful for. And I'm not sure if I could have gotten an experience like that at a college, not a Rice.
It's early days to choose a topic for your PhD, as in research and everything else. But are you working or helping professors do something their projects already, or it's just academics right now?
No, I've been researching. It's like, at least here you were expected to research from like day one. And yes, I had published a paper last year. It got accepted in January, and I have a couple of other projects that I'm working on. I personally work on human robot interaction. So I study how robots and humans can complete tasks in a shared autonomy setting. So you have a task, and you have to have humans and robots both complete the task in a setting. So that's my area of expertise.
So, so what would be a good example of that human robot sort of interaction? And
Anything, right?
these
You
are
have
just programs. This could be a chatbot. It could be anything.
it could be a chatbot, yes. But as personally, I do work on like actual physical systems. So it's like planning for a physical system. But so the most canonical example would be a Tesla, for example, right? You have a Tesla and human, the machine and the human are driving together. They have a shared goal of driving safely. If How do you basically have make that happen? It's how do you transition between, how do you hand off controls to each other? How do you do that? And something even like surgical robotics, right? You have humans and robots working together. So that's something. Robots are not gonna, in my understanding, robots are not gonna replace humans. They're gonna be basically, they're gonna make humans more effective at what they do. And for that to
Great.
happen, humans have to be able to uh, collaborate with robots.
So having visited Rice, I've seen that there is obviously this huge medical center community, the Baylor Institute, many other research facilities. So a lot of the work in even in the computer science department could be sort of in partnership
Absolutely. A
with
lot
some
of
of these? Yeah.
actually, yes, a lot of the, about half the computer science labs here are doing bioinformatic work. So computational biology work. And our lab also does computational biology work. So they apply robotics concepts to molecules. They model molecules as robots. And based on
So that's
that, yes, it's very interesting. I'm sorry, I don't understand all of it
yeah, of course,
to
yeah,
speak
of
for
course. But
them, but
but slightly more
it's
than a layman though. So what is computational biology, and what do you like? And how would you
so
define
computational
it?
biology is using computational tools to understand things like drug development, things like developing treatment plans, because drugs are basically molecules and they're geometric structures. So understanding their interactions with other molecules in drugs, that's and using computational tools to do that can really significantly increase the pipeline of development of these drugs. Right now, so the idea is that you use computational tools to basically speed up clinical development of these drugs and molecules.
Great, great. So if you look, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and
Mhm.
talk more about you as a person. So if you were to look at the wide-eyed high schooler who went to college and now it's been 5 years or so, what are the three strengths you discovered in yourself in this
In
journey?
myself, oh god. But I think I discovered. I don't know if I can name three, but I'll try. I think my work ethic is one of them. I feel like I have been, when needed, I have been able to sit down and block off things and just focus on what needs to be done. And I feel like that work ethic has helped me be where I am. That's definitely one of them. And I think the second one, which also partially stems from the first one, is the fact that I'm not scared of taking on um, more than I know at that point. Like a CS page, right? I feel like this was a big gamble, but within me, I knew that, you know what, I'll take care of this. I'll figure it out. So I've not been afraid of just like making the leap and then having the faith in me that I will follow it up. I will be able to figure it out. I remember when I took my first computer science class, it was comp 450, which is like a higher level computer science class at Rice, and I hadn't taken a single comp sci class, right? And I was like, you know what? Um, Let me just take the gamble. I'll figure it out. And the first day they handed out forms to everyone to assess how much people already come in prerequisite knowledge with. And I'm telling you, Arjun, I had no idea about anything. They asked, like, I don't even remember, like, the basic questions. I had no idea what they were talking about. And I was like, you know what? I'll figure it out. And I was like, you know what? I know all of this. So that was a huge gamble. And I remember I went back that evening and I basically spent like the next entire week trying to learn like 3 years worth of computer science knowledge. And I mean, yeah, I sort of pulled it off.
That's cool. That's cool. That's great
So
to know. I think great inspiration. Yeah, go ahead. And anything else?
no, I think that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
Sure, sure. And now I'll ask you a question about the COVID era, like the one we're all living in. I don't know what the state of shelter in place is like in Houston, but uh, if things went back to normal, what are the three things you are really itching to do, or something that you'd never done before you'd want to do?
I don't know if there's something that I've never done before that I want to, but of course I miss the most boring things now. I feel like I miss my the drive to campus. I miss getting coffee in the morning from campus. I miss walking from my car to my office to my lab. I feel like I miss all these small things, and I just can't wait to get back to that boring lifestyle again.
That's cool. Um, so, anyways, the third question about again three things is
Mhm.
or not three. Okay, maybe if you can only put one or two examples, it's anecdotes is fine. Anything embarrassing, any mistake, any failure that you want to reflect on in high school, in college, and what were the learnings from those
I feel like when I came in, I
anecdotes?
came with a mentality of, as I said, right? As I said before, I never imagined myself getting a PhD, just because I came in with a mentality that university is a means to an end, which is a fair mentality, right? I always thought that, which is fine. I can see why people have this mentality, right? I had this mentality, and I felt like, for me, university just meant getting that degree and getting a job that I hopefully like, or it was just a means to an end. It was something that I had to go through. And that's partially why, to me, a PhD without a question, because I couldn't have imagined doing this for another 8 years, like another 5 years after school. And over my career rise, this was completely challenged. This mentality that I came in with was challenged, and I don't. Yeah, I feel like now actually when I'm learning things, I'm learning because I want to know more about it. Genuinely curious about it, and this transition is, I feel like, the highlight of my career rise. But and
Fantastic.
again, something that
Yes.
I regret. I wish I had harbored this thing early on.
So yeah, extending that, I'm sure there are people, mentors, advisors, peers, seniors. The residential life at Rice promotes such deep bonds, and even otherwise, influencers, authors. Who would you pick? Again, three. Who would you pick as people you follow or read about and want to know more about?
I What do you mean at Rice, or do you mean at
In general, it could be a Rice peer mentor, or it could be even people you
that
don't
I
know
look
but
up to,
are doing
or
it. Yep,
that
yep.
I look up to? I think it's hands down my advisor. I feel like she has had the most effect and the most impact on my career. I feel like I'm here because of her. She took gambles in me. She explained to me. She convinced me that maybe a computer science is a better career option for me, and super late in my career when like no one would imagine because no one really like getting a PhD as a computer science from a completely different field without a master's is a somewhat a big deal to me, and I feel like she was the one who convinced me. She not convinced is a big word, but she taught me. She's basically guided me throughout this whole process. And besides that, I don't know. I feel like I've definitely had a lot of friends. I've had a friend is and he's one of my closest friends till now, and he comes from an entirely different background than I do. Like when I say entirely different, single mother, 13 siblings, raised on food stamps, and just to see someone like that, and to find things we relate on is incredible. I feel like like I would have never imagined someone like that being at Rice. I mean, now I can, but as a freshman, I couldn't have imagined. And I feel like I've this is just like a few of them, but I feel like everyone I meet at Rice has some sort of a story.
Well said. I think those are the interactions that you remember, and of course, those
Hmm.
friendships last lifetimes. So, if you were to look back as during your high school, not sure what's going to happen next, the entire application process seems so confusing.
Hmm.
You were new to an IB school. There's so much awkwardness all around in those years, anyways. Uh, what message would you have to help high school students prepare for the college application process, and
I
what
think
do you
everyone
think
should
you
take
did
it
right?
easy. I feel like you should take it easy. Yes, I feel like you can't go wrong. Honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like it really at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if you go to XYZ school or it. I mean, I feel like you'll have incredible experiences wherever you go,
Right.
and
So
as
it's
you
about,
should.
yeah, believing in what
I
you
think, yeah,
can do
believing
at
and
the
actually
university.
enjoying the process, and actually, and sometimes like not being sure about it is fine. I feel like, yeah, I'd never even heard of
Great.
rice. You know that I was so confused when you suggested rice was the. I before even applied. I had no idea what rice was. Yeah, and this is far
But
from my dream school. And yeah.
right. So there's one part about college exploration and choosing colleges. The other, of course, there's pressure from everyone around you
Yeah.
that, okay, aspire higher, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But then there's also the self-reflection and the essays, and of course, working the system, getting to know everyone in school so that you
Mhm.
can get great recommendations. What was it that you found interesting or challenging in the process?
About the whole
What-
application
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Oh, that was so much. I'm just trying to imagine all the essays, and
you you blocked it out from your
I
memory.
have actually. I have. Yes, I feel like a lot of. I found time a few weeks back. Actually, I found time to go back and read some of the essays, and it's very
Good.
surprising to me how much I've changed. Like I could not imagine myself writing an essay like that again right now. If you ask me to, I feel like it's also. I don't know if you feel this way, but it's also. I feel like a lot of what I wrote was pretty fake. in the sense that I was portraying to be someone I really wasn't, because I knew that that's what everyone wanted to hear. Does that sort of make sense to you? I feel like
Yeah,
that's a challenge. That was a challenge to me. And now, if I was somehow teleported back and I had to do it all over again, I feel like I would put out the absolute truth.
yeah.
I would try
Something
and
authentic.
generally put out the absolute vulnerable me out there.
Absolutely, and I think great. Did you take, of course, core and gen ed requirements at most schools of that size, 4,000, would be very fascinating, right? The human and the humanities and the social sciences and the literature and other
Mm-hmm.
seminars. What were the other classes other than the STEM stuff
Mm-hmm.
you did which changed
Yeah,
your
so
thinking?
Rice, the way Rice is structured, you have to take. We have like separate divisions. We have 3 divisions, and I think STEM is like division 3 or something. And you have to take D1 and D2 classes, right? You have to have basically a whole rounded portfolio of classes. And I took, I think, I took a lot of philosophy classes actually. One of my friend I just mentioned, right? He studied philosophy, and he convinced me to sign up for a lot of philosophy classes. And I think that was very interesting because I never imagined philosophy was so mathematical in nature. And just to see that the similarities between philosophy and what I was studying at a higher level was pretty impressive. And I'm glad I took that, because I feel like right now the kind of stuff I work on, I still use reasoning arguments and how to structure my arguments from that class. So I feel like I'm glad I explored. I took psychology classes. I took, and even computer science. I was outside my own major requirement, and I gambled, and I was like, you know what, let's try this course out. It sounds cool. And that was primarily what made me switch my career.
Fantastic. So, Shlok, it was so amazing to just reconnect
No,
and
yeah, this
also
is
follow
wonderful.
your journey. I'm
Yeah.
delighted to have been able to just do this
Mhm.
impromptu with you today. What I also want to let you know is that we will be organizing a few webinars. It could be STEM or STEAM or whatever, some
Yeah.
topics that even understanding college fit. I will reach out to you
Yeah, sure.
for
Sounds good.
those, and we'll figure out how to schedule. Thank you again. Have a great
Sounds
day.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Arjun.